Welcome back. We're gonna make our game states. So a game state is pretty much a screen in the game. It's the state that your game is currently in. Uh, so uh, so a game state is gonna look a lot like our game method. It's just to organize our different screens better. Uh, GDX has a thing called a screen. It's an interface, I believe. But we don't want to use those. As I said, we want to make everything ourselves so that we can customize it to our greatest abilities. So go ahead and make a new package. Just after Pong, just add game states. We're gonna have different classes for our different different needs, different screens, and in managers. And all of these game states are going to be run through one class called the game state manager. Alright. And go ahead. Our game state manager is going to have a reference to an abstract class called the game state, and game state will have a reference to a game state manager. So game state, make that abstract. Click finish. You can go ahead and close off our other managers from before. So now we have game state and game state manager. So now in game state, we're gonna just make a quick game state manager. We're just gonna go ahead and make our game state abstract class and go ahead and start off with the other game states. So game state manager GSM, Control Shift O or Control Shift M, whatever you want to do. And when you make an instance of a game state, you will give it a game state manager GSM. Once you do this, if something changes in the game state manager that you put in there originally, it will also change in here. So now we're gonna have abstract methods. Our first one, oh, this is protected. So as you remember, protected means protected just means that it can be used in all of these super classes and the subclasses. So we're gonna make a. I know it's public on the GitHub repo, but it should be protected. Just this one, abstract void init. So this will be called whenever you create a game state, just by default. So our constructor, in quotes, I'll go in here. So we're gonna make some abstract voids. Void update float dt. We won't be using the delta time in Pong, but in all the other games that we will use our delta time. So we want that. Sprite batch SB and a shape renderer. A sprite batch draws images and a shape renderer draws shapes. You want both of those. Sprite batch with a capital B. Your imports should look like this so far. Where is shape renderer? Oh, we want this to be called draw. There we go. You're gonna call this every time you draw the frame. We're gonna it's gonna be called in render, both of these. I just like having them separate so that you have one place to handle game logic and one place to draw the game. So we're gonna make another one. Void handle input and public abstract. So handle input will be called after or before update resize. It's gonna take a vector to size, public abstract void dispose. We won't have much to dispose of in our game states this time around, but because everything, so this sprite batch and SR will be in our game state manager, which we'll make shortly. Now just go into game states, make 2 new classes. We're not going to do anything in these classes for now, but we're just going to make them so that we can do something in gamestatemanager. So superclass gamestate, and you want inherited abstract methods and constructors from superclass. Go ahead and click finish. Super GSM, get rid of that. So all of these things, when you have to do, it just gives you a little thing here so you know something's not done. And we're not going to be done with this in this video. So go ahead and make another game state, called it title state. In our future games, we're also going to have a splash state, but I feel like this one doesn't need a splash state. Our splash screen, a little thing that says game dev presents. As you can see, these are not empty on, or as you will be able to see in a second, these are not empty on our repository. Just have a bunch of stuff in it, but we're not there yet. So yeah, so just go ahead and close these for now, and you can close game state as well because you're done with that. So now we're gonna go into our game state manager. So we're gonna use polymorphism, so we're just gonna make a game state Control Shift M, and we're gonna highlight this in our import, replace game state with a star. That means it's gonna import all the classes in the game state package. Sprite batch SB and a shape renderer SR. Control Shift M, Control Shift M. Okay. Now we're gonna make some constants. So public final int title equals 0, and this one, it doesn't matter what you give it. You can give it like 1,000,000 and 200 just as long as they're different. Play equals 1, but I like 0 and 1. So we're gonna do SB equals new sprite batch, and SR equals new shape renderer. Alright, and we're gonna make a public void set state. It's gonna take an integer state or a new state. So we're gonna start off this method. So if state is not equal to null, so if there is already something in game state, so if the game already started and you're changing from one screen to the other, it's going to do state.dispose. So it clears everything from the RAM of that screen before it moves on. So now if state, or new state, is equal to title, state equals new title state, and we have to give it a game state manager, which will be this one. And now we're going to make another if new state. It doesn't matter if it's an else if or not. So yeah, play state equals new play state. This. Alright. So, and then in our constructor, we're going to go ahead, set state. We're going to start off with play state, but at the very end, we're going to change this to title state. So it's going to look like this. Let me show you. In gamestatemanager, it's title right now, but we're going to make the title screen last because I feel like showing you how to actually make the game is more important. So we're going to do public void update. So it's going to have the same stuff. So float dt, so delta time. It's going to do state.update delta time. Public void draw, and it's going to do state.draw sprite batch and a shape renderer. Public void handle input, state.handle input, and public void resize vector2 size. I don't want to do Control-Shift-O because if I do that, it'll mess up my imports. It'll break all that up. Anyway, I think it did that here. Nope, it's good there. Resize state dot resize size, and finally public void dispose. So shape renderer and SR need to be, or shape renderer and sprite batch need to be disposed. So we're going to do state.dispose, and then we're going to do sb.dispose, and then sr.dispose. Cool. So now let's implement this into our game. So before everything, we're going to make a private gamestatemanager GSM, Control-Shift-M. I'm just going to go ahead and go into managers and just import them all. This, I believe, is the last thing we actually have to do in our game class before it is done. So right before we make our input, we're going to do GSM equals new gamestatemanager. Alright, let me just make sure with center resources. Yep, this is the last thing we have to do. So then we're going to do, after we set the title, we're going to do GSM dot handle input, and then it's going to do GSM dot update dt because it's delta time from up here. Oops. GSM dot draw, and then when you resize it, GSM dot resize game dot size, and when you dispose it, GSM dot dispose. So let's test this out in play state. We're just going to make a simple thing. Sys out game created. We're going to go into update, sys out game update, and draw, sys out game draw. You don't have to do this, I'm just showing you how it works. Sys out game input, and then sys out game resize, and then finally sys out game dispose. So when we run it, alright, oh, something's wrong. File not found. Oh, spelling error. This should be TTF. Sorry about that. Here we go. Another one? PRS start. Oh, PRS start K. I'm just messing up left and right. Here we go. So as you can see, it's doing input, update, draw, and then when we resize it, it doesn't show because it's being overrun by those. So dispose at the end, created at the beginning. I'm just gonna get rid of these. It does game resize because it started out resizing. Input, update, draw, input, update, draw, input, update, draw. So I'm just gonna get rid of those. Input, draw, update, so I can show you the resize. That it does actually call that resize method when it's resized. Resize, as you can see, it's changing. Alright, from here to here, resize, dispose. So you can delete all this. And we're gonna go ahead and actually start with the creation of the game next, because our setup is officially complete. Yes, all these videos just for the setup but this is a universal setup. We will use these similar setups in every game that we make forever. So this is good. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.